Welcome to 9.7, showing or finding inverses of matrices. So to find an inverse of a matrix, we set it up as a bigger matrix with the identity matrix. And then we take this bigger matrix and we solve it and put it in the correct form with the ones in the diagonal column here. When we do that, we end up with what we call the inverse matrix. So if they're inverses of each other, they end up looking like this. Okay, so how do you find an inverse? How do you prove that something's an inverse of another? Is multiplying together, and if your result is the identity matrix, then they are inverses of each other. So you can scroll back to this page. This shows you how to use your calculator, but we're going to do it by hand at first. So let's show that these two are inverses of each other. So we take A times B, and so 5, 7, distributed through each of these columns here. So 15 plus negative 14 is 1, okay? And then negative 35 plus 35 is 0. And then you're going to take 2, 3 and distribute it through each of the columns. That'd be 6 plus a negative 6 is 0. And then the second column, you get negative 14 and 15 is 1. And so, yes, they are inverses of each other. All right, number 2. We're going to do the same thing. Take this row times each of these columns. So 16 plus negative 15 is 1. All right, so again, A times B. And then we get 40 plus negative 40 is 0. And then we take the next row times each column. We get negative 6 and 6 is 0. And negative 15 and 16 is 1. Okay, so basically what I want to see is how you proved that those will work, because I'm going to give you one that may not work. Okay, and then the next thing, you can't just take A times B. You have to show B times A. So we're going to do B times A and go backwards here. So let's put A on this side, 5, 7, 2, and 3, and let's do this, all right? So 3 times 5 is 15, plus negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. So that gives us 1. All right, and then we do 21 plus negative 21, that's 0. And then 2 times 5 is 10, and 5 times 2 is 10. Oh, that's negative 2. So negative 10 and 10 is 0. And then we have negative 14 plus 15 is 1. So yes, number 1 they are inverses of each other. All right, so number 2, let's put A here. And we get 8 and negative 5 and negative 3 and 2. And now let's do B times A. All right. Let's see what we get. 2 times 8 is 16 plus negative 15. That gives us 1. And negative 10 plus 10 gives us 0. And 24 plus negative 24 gives us 0. And then we get negative 15 plus 16 is 1. So yes, 1 and 2 are both inverses of each other. Okay, now find the inverse. So what we do is we add the identity matrix to this, and now we do your row echelon form part. All right, so I'm going to switch row 1 with row 2 to put the 1 on top. So 1, 3, 0, 1, and 2, negative 4, 1, 0. And then what I'm going to do is take negative 2 times row 1 plus row 2, and row 1 is still correct, and then I get negative 2 plus 2 is 0, negative 6 plus negative 4 is negative 10, 0 plus 1 is 1, negative 2 plus 0 is negative 2. All right, and then I'm going to make the negative 10 a 1, positive 1, so multiplying by negative 1/10 to row 2. All right. So what do we get here? We're going to get, again, 1, 3, 0, 1, and 0, positive 1, negative 1/10, and positive 2/10, which is 1/5. Okay, now I need to get the 3 to be a 0, so negative 3 times row 2 plus row 1. Okay, now that is going to give us, see, negative 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. Let me just do this here. Row 2 is staying the same here. We're changing row 1. So negative 3 plus 3 is 0. 3/10 plus 0 is 3/10. And negative 3/5 plus 1. So we have negative 3/5 plus 1, which is the same thing as 5 over 5. So that's 2/5. So now this is the identity, and what we have here is the answer. This is, so if this is matrix A, then the inverse is what we have here, and that is correct. All right, so I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to do number 5 here. Or I'll just do number 5 on the next screen. Okay, so here's number 5. Now let's go ahead and put the identity matrix with it. Okay, and now what are we going to do? Let's just take 1/2 of row 1, or we can go ahead and get rid of the 4 first. Let's do negative 2 row 1 plus row 2. So we have 2, 4, 1, 0. And negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0. Negative 2 plus 0 is 0. And negative 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. Well, stop right there. This is not possible. So does not exist is what you have there. So the no solutions from what we had before, you should recognize what that means. So that's not possible what we have here. So now we can move on. Okay, so let's do number 7. So 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. So what are we going to do here? Let's go ahead and take row 2, negative row 2 plus row 1. And what do we get? So negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Negative 2 plus negative 1 is negative 3. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. Negative 2 plus 0 is negative 2. And 0 plus 0 is 0. Okay, and then we still have row 2 here. And row 3. Okay, so now we're going to do negative 2 times row 1 plus row 2. All right, and 1, negative 3, 0, 1, negative 2, 0. And negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 6 plus 2 is 8. 0 plus 0 is 0. Negative 2 plus 0 is negative 2. 4 plus 1 is 5. And 0 plus 0 is 0. And we have our third line here. So now what are we going to do? Well, let's, we got to get 8 to be a 1. So we could take 1/8 of row 2. We can do that. You're going to get fractions, so let's just do it. So 1, negative 3, 0, 1, negative 2, 0. 0, 1, 0. Negative 1/4. And 5/8. And 0. And 0, 0, 4. Let's go ahead and do two things at once here. Let's do row 3 with this. Let's do 1/4 of row 3. We get 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1/4. All right, so we have these 3 zeros. We have our diagonals as 1s, and we have these 2 zeros. Now we got to get the negative 3 to be a 0. So we're going to take 3 times row 2 plus row 1. All right? So 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1/4. Okay, so row 2 is still this, 0, 1, 0, negative 1/4, 5/8, and 0. Okay, and now how's row 1 change? So 3 times 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus negative 3 is 0. And you have 0 there. 3 times negative 1/4 is negative 3/4. So negative 3/4 plus the 1, or 4/4, gives me 1/4. 3 times 5/8 is 15/8 plus negative 2. So we multiply by 8. That's negative 16. So I'm going to get negative 1/8. And 3 times 0 is 0 plus 0 is 0. So here is our inverse matrix. Now what the book does is they take out all fractions. So they take out 1/8 of everything. So if I were to multiply by 1/8 or 4 or 8. If I multiply by 8, all those things go away, right? So I'm going to take out an 8, and that changes all of this to this. So 8, if I take 8 times 1/4, that would be 2, right? Except 8 times 2 is not 1/4. So if I take 2 times 1/8, then I get 1/4. So 1/8 times a number is going to give me negative 1/8. All right, so negative 1, and then 0. And again, this will be negative 2 5/8. So if I multiplied that by 8, that would get rid of it, right? So if this was a 5, then 5 times 1/8 is 5/8. So figure out how you can get all these things. They take out the fraction in front, so 0, 0, and then this is going to be 2. 2/8 is 1/4. So this is the answer they give in the book, which is a lot nicer numbers, but there's nothing wrong with this right here either. Okay, number 13. So we need to add the typical identity matrix here, and then we need to solve it. All right, so first thing I want to do is take half of row 1. Okay, half of row 1 is negative 1 half of row 1 is 1, negative 1 half, negative 2. Oops, that's not right. That'd be negative 1, and negative 1 half, 0, 0. So 0, 1, 3, 0, 1, 0, negative 2, 2, 5, 0, 0, 1. All right, so now let's do 2 times row 1 plus row 3. So row 1, row 2 stay the same. So 2 plus negative 2 is 0. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Negative 2 plus 5 is 3. Negative 1 plus 0 is negative 1. And 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay, so we have those two correct. Now we got to get this to be a 0. So do negative row 2 plus row 3. All right, so row 1 and row 2 stay the same. And then we get 0, and then negative 1 minus 1, or negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. 0 plus negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 0 is negative 1, and 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay, and at this point, we have a problem. So we can't put it in reduced row echelon form, and we see that the x, y, and z are now gone on the left side. So this does not exist, is the correct answer. That's it. Good job.